Now please welcome President and CEO TripAdvisor Stephen Kaufer and founder and CEO Skift Rafat Ali.
Well, this is the best session of the whole conference. It is.
Already.
Already. Thank you, Steve, for being
All
here.
right.
This is very meaningful to us. So, TripAdvisor, an iconic brand of the internet age, has completely changed how people research for hotels. Go to places, look at things to do there. You have entered into adjacent categories as well. You've bought a bunch of companies over the last 6, 7, 8 years. Last year when I came and met you at your headquarters, you and I talked, and you talked a lot about restaurants. And you bought a company in France that is now part of TripAdvisor. You may have bought something since as well that you've not disclosed. That he will tell today. How big can TripAdvisor go beyond, and obviously now you're trying, and we're going to come to the instant booking part first, but in terms of the parts of travel and beyond that you can pick up?
Certainly. So we certainly built our reputation around the reviews about hotels. It was a really important part of the trip, financially lucrative part of the trip if you're in that space. But it's actually not the thing people think most of when they actually take the trip, right? You go and you have a great vacation. What do you come home talking about? You come home talking about the people you went with, the people you visited, what you did while you were there, the amazing restaurants that you ate at while you were there, and the hotel and how great it was, et cetera. But it was just kind of one of the components. So as we broadened beyond just kind of what people think of as the hotel reviews, to helping you have the best possible trip, to plan it, to book it, to take the trip, restaurants and food in general became super important. So we acquired in the past several years both a number of restaurant companies and an attraction company. Right. So La Fourchette in France, and then Dimi in Australia, Best Tables in Portugal. We expanded organically into Italy with a couple of small tuck-ins, Jens in Amsterdam. So a number, and so we've built a really nice footprint of instantly reservable restaurants throughout most countries in Europe, plus Australia. Nice footprint. We're not done yet, but it's all part of how do we help people have that great trip. Tack on that restaurant reservation capability with the 3 million, or is it 4 million now, restaurants that we have on TripAdvisor. So whether you're in one of those countries or in the States or the UK or anywhere, when you're traveling, people are opening up our app and saying, what's a great spot to eat near me? Helping to cement TripAdvisor, hopefully, as a company that helped you plan and have that great trip.
But every big company is trying to, or at least tons of companies are trying to attack the restaurant space. Obviously, Yelp is there, OpenTable is there, Google is there, and all these others. Do you think there's as much trajectory in the restaurant booking or as much space for dominance in restaurant booking, especially and reviews, as there is in hotels?
Well, I think we probably have more restaurant reviews than anyone else. I haven't counted, but because we cover so many restaurants around the globe, so the actual reservation piece, while financially interesting, a nice business, we admire what OpenTable's been able to do. We admire how Yelp has become important to a lot of restaurants, but mostly we admire how those services and TripAdvisor globally and TripAdvisor in our geographies are helping the user. In our case, the user we're mostly focused on is the traveler.
Right.
And the traveler who lands in Paris is looking for a hotel and wants to have a great meal. You don't go to Paris. I mean, everyone wants to have a great meal everywhere. How can we help? And yeah, no offense, but OpenTable and Yelp aren't really strong in Paris. We're king. You know, we have a ton of reviews of every restaurant and reservation capabilities at a lot of the best ones.
This is completely side question, speaking of Paris. When any of these attacks happen, do you see an effect in dip in volume in terms of reviews and stuff?
Sure, we see an immediate traffic effect of people going to Paris. Net, they probably mostly go somewhere else, and then it bounces back, depending on what's happened a couple of weeks or a month or two later. So there's absolutely a temporary effect, but at least as we see it on our site, unless it's a long-term crisis in an area, people are bouncing back. It's okay.
Yeah. So beyond restaurants, attractions and, tours and activities,
Yeah.
Viator you bought. Will Viator, for the foreseeable future, stay as a separate brand completely, or would it be integrated into TripAdvisor, you think, at some point?
So we're doing our best to bring all of the greatness that Viator has by way of inventory, supply, support, kind of the helping the TripAdvisor Media Group entity deliver the most value to that traveler. But it's actually TripAdvisor that has an immense audience looking for help in what to do when you get there. And to be clear, TripAdvisor is going to always continue to list, Central Park. It's a free attraction. You can go and walk around. But we can also offer you a tour here, a tour there, an activity to do in Central Park, all of which might be really interesting to the traveler who's on TripAdvisor thinking, what should I do in New York? So Viator is a standalone brand, no reason to do anything with it other than continue to grow it as we have. But of the things we're doing, all of it, almost all of it, apply equally well to the audience that's on TripAdvisor. Because TripAdvisor is the global brand that has so much traffic. And I say it in a different way. Let me say it in a different way. TripAdvisor is the global brand that has so many travelers looking for assistance on our app, on our site, for what to do and the convenience of being able to book it right there. And you talk about an untapped market. How do we all figure out what we're going to do when we get there? You might use TripAdvisor, you might use a search engine, you might use a hotel concierge, you might just take some guesses, wisdom of friends, whatever they might be, but then the actual transaction, you're kind of left on your own in many cases. But if you look at, that's often the way it was with hotels a long time ago. Now, or in 5 years, can you imagine the world where you're not able to book just about anything you want on your app, or voice controlled if you want to go there, but you're able to book it, and we want to build up the supply to be able to do that efficiently, accurately, globally.
So the other end of the start of the journey, the airline, you've made some efforts in there in terms of the airline reviews, and you bought a bunch of companies. How deep can you go in there?
Airlines, tricky space. You got consolidation in the US, you have low-cost carriers everywhere, there's a lot of domain direct, to the airline website. And so what value can we add in the equation? Well, look, we have a nice airline search product that'll help you find the lowest fare, because getting there is important. We're not the only player that can do that. Airline booking, do we really need to help you book the airline? The airline sites do it pretty darn well, so we don't feel like that's a must play. Hey, what if I actually want to figure out what's the best seat on the plane? Well, if you haven't seen our Seat Guru functionality and you're taking a long-haul flight, it's really good. And the smart travelers know to check that, because not all seats are the same. If you want to figure out which of the two airlines to take, because it's an important trip for you, great, airline reviews are there, coming. They're live, but we don't have enough yet to really be as helpful as we will be in 3 to 6 months, to help you actually pick which carrier. So we add value where we can. It's not something that you'll see as an incredible differentiator, but as part of the trip, lots of trips involve a car and a plane, and the plane part we're certainly playing in.
And would you go on the transportation side of the business, like actual Uber or taxis and that side of the business at all? In any role?
It's through the lens of how can we help a traveler, ideally a traveler that's probably already coming to TripAdvisor, am I addressing a pain point? So I use Uber or Lyft, and lots of other people do, and we have a little integration there, but it's not obvious that TripAdvisor moving into that space ourselves, no. Why do we think we could do a better job? Absolutely not. A deeper partnership, it's just not solving a lot of friction to open up Uber and call me a car.
So TripAdvisor, if you open the TripAdvisor app, is a button probably to book Uber, that kind of stuff is possible.
Yeah, we already do that on the app.
Okay.
But I can tell you it doesn't get a ton of usage because it's not solving a big problem, because everyone knows how to already open up Uber and it's already an app on their phone, probably.
So let's get into the thing that a lot of analysts obviously ask you every day. It's what you've been asked for the last 3 years, I think. For those of you who don't know, TripAdvisor has added the ability over the last few years to book hotels on TripAdvisor. That has been, in the analyst community, controversial, for lack of a better word. And so you have bet big on, and this is my phrase, you may not use this, pivoting in people's minds what TripAdvisor stands for, which is reviews to you can actually book hotels on it as well. You've done TV campaigns as well. Where is it at today? That whole, and how long of a window are you looking at to make it successful?
Sure, let me just back up a little bit. I don't really think of it as a pivot because we're in no way, shape, or form leaving our reviews and becoming a booking engine. We're augmenting the review base, the research base, with the ability to finish what you were doing in the most convenient way. And we looked at this and said, hey, what do we think a traveler wants on all devices? And we got into this because travelers, they're coming to our site, they're choosing a hotel, they're choosing an attraction, and now we're giving them a bunch of links that they can go off and book somewhere else, which is fine. It built a wonderful business. It monetizes quite well. We said, well, in the future, wouldn't it be great if we could actually offer the lowest price that anyone can find out there on the web and actually be able to book it while staying on TripAdvisor, because in an app world, I already have your credit card or payment type. And so instead of the friction of the handoff, let's do it. Oh my God, you're gonna have to go build a 3,000-person supply organization contract. Like, no, we got other partners that have already done that. They either own the hotel, the chain, or they're Bookings or Expedias or other OTAs that have done a great job aggregating inventory. Let's partner with those guys so that on TripAdvisor, you do all your research, you see these amazing candid photos that really tell it like it is, you read the reviews if you're interested, you look at the room tips, you make your decision, you see all the prices, and then you click to book it on TripAdvisor, unless you have a strong preference to book somewhere else, in which case that's fine, book somewhere else. We're not hiding anything. You book it on TripAdvisor if you like that, because hopefully I'm giving you the best price, all the information you need, helping you store your credit card, easy as pie. That's the reason we were doing this. Now, why would an analyst call that picture controversial? Well, because it came at the expense of short-term revenue. Yep, it did. Still is. We'd be doing more revenue if we didn't do this transition. I'm okay with that, because I've always said, and I hope we've attracted the shareholders that at least acknowledge.
At least not for now, though, from a stock price perspective over the last year.
Don't care. I mean, when I look at our stock price, I say that is a short-term grade. I'm completely convinced we are doing the right thing for the long term of the business, and if the stock takes a little while to catch up, that's okay. I am aware I have shareholders, and I really try to do my best to explain where we plan to be in the hotel category, in the 2, 3, 4 year category in time frame, restaurants a little bit longer on a global picture, and we have flights, and we have rentals, and we have attractions, and the story of TripAdvisor. But I want them all to know that you are investing in a company that has a long-term vision. Do you agree with it? If you do, invest in the company. If you don't, plenty of other good companies out there. But we're going to see that through. We're going to be building out the products that we believe travelers want in the long term. And if that comes at short-term hits, so be it.
you mentioned a phrase was said, if traveler prefers to go to other sites as part of the process. At what point does the traveler not prefer to go on other sites? Is it just, well, actually, let me why would anybody prefer to go to other sites when it's right there? Which is the question that when people who we are throwing traffic to are saying, well, why would they ever come to us if you are doing it there? And if they're angry at you or saying that on one hand you're sort of trying to eat out of both hands. I'm messing the phrase, but the whole point is if you're sending them traffic and now you're not sending them traffic, but you're trying to keep the customer on your side, you can see where some of the people are worried about all this stuff.
So we really look at it through the lens of what do we think the set of choices a customer is going to want. Marriott, Choice, Best Western, Wyndham, phenomenal partners for TripAdvisor. They participate in our meta auction, our click-off, and allow us to instantly book their properties. When they have a customer that's loyal to Marriott, they're checking out the property on TripAdvisor, they can click off to Marriott and book directly on their website. They're happy. We're happy. Customer's happy. Win, win, win. The customer that says, hey, I'm modestly indifferent, I'm not a loyal member of Wyndham, I'm on a Wyndham property and I click in instant booking, great, we take the booking, we share the customer information to Wyndham, they can do their darndest to turn that into a loyal Wyndham user, and that's part of our business model, right. Is all the hotels have the opportunity to win that customer over for whenever they're coming back to that geo. We know the customers, hopefully, the customer will be coming back to TripAdvisor to travel elsewhere over the many times that they travel. And if TripAdvisor gave them the experience that they were looking for, we've won them for that research purpose.
The funnel to TripAdvisor, which in a lot of ways has been Google historically, how big of that is it today, the funnel of people coming from Google to TripAdvisor, and what are the foreseeable roadblocks you see there from Google's perspective?
Well, from our perspective, search engines have been a source of traffic, paid, free, whatever, to every internet company. Along come app, and that reduces the dependency for anyone that has an app. We certainly have one that's been downloaded hundreds of millions of times, incredible usage. And we've also taken advantage of a ton of other opportunities to acquire traffic through as many other channels as we can. As we've grown in our instant booking.
Facebook, would that be?
We advertise all over Facebook. Come visit our site, then go to Facebook. I'd like to say you will see our ad saying, come on back, here's the price, here's what you were looking at, whatever the ad looks like. When I was saying as we move into our instant booking, we now have the ability to participate as a booking engine in a number of other sites. Right. So you might see a TripAdvisor placement in Google Hotel ads, for instance, or a Trivago, or a Kayak, or kind of other sites that help people book, and that's one of the things we do now is actually take the booking. So again, we offer a really nice solution to a traveler. We want to use all traffic acquisition vehicles to educate folks, to augment the hundreds of millions of people that we already have.
So in terms of traffic acquisition, is there a channel that has surprised you and said, oh my God, this works so well, and I could never think, like I'm just making this up, Snapchat? I don't know if Snapchat has that. I don't use Snapchat, sorry.
Well, we've certainly learned not to judge the value of a traffic source to us based upon how many MAUs or UUs that they have. Intent is super important. Right. Facebook has certainly become internally, they've done a much better job than 5 years ago in terms of having products that us and other travel companies and most other companies in general can use to attract the audience that kind of wants what we have, which is delightful because they have a huge audience, but in a sense, it's too big as a lump sum I need to target, and they have a lot of information for targeting.
Yeah. We will do questions on this one. In case people have questions, please do line up on the left and right. I don't know, I can't see on the right. There are microphones on the left and right, and we're going to do that. You've been doing this 15 years. One other person in the audience who remains unnamed, who you know very well, asked me to ask you this question. He owns a big position in TripAdvisor. He asked me, how long can you do this? 15 years, what's left to prove?
Oh my God, there's so much more that TripAdvisor can do to make travel easier for everyone globally.
No, you personally.
That's a massive challenge. What do I like to do for a living? I like to tackle massive challenges. So there's nothing boring about my job. When my job gets boring, I will go figure out something else to do. When I look at how, I'm totally serious, when I look at how travel will be different in 5 years, you know, darn it, TripAdvisor's gotta more than just contribute more users to the equation. We have an opportunity to really make planning a trip so much easier. I love our app, I love our site, but there's so much more that we can do to make me, a power user, much happier, let alone the people who are still casual users of the site. You talk personalization, you talk voice input, you talk itinerary building, you talk better recommendations based on where you are at the moment, all the reasons that people pull out their hair when they are trying to figure out what they're doing that afternoon or the day after tomorrow. And a ton of people don't even know the amazing experience they're missing in destination because we didn't surface it to them. It was on TripAdvisor today, but we have hundreds of thousands of awesome things to do. How do I know that that would be the perfect...
Paradox of choice, which in TripAdvisor's case, if tons and tons and tons and thousands of reviews.
I was in Sydney. I was looking through the things as a tourist. I was looking through things to do. I saw this helicopter ride. Like, wow, what a great way to tour the site. And I was thinking to myself, as I always do, you know, TripAdvisor knows me enough to think, yeah, they kind of should have TripAdvisor should have recommended that to me more than the 1 through 10 list of things to do. We have so much data, we have so much ability to do that. So all the way back to the why am I still doing what I'm doing? Because I want to tackle those questions. I want to help people, I'm not going all the way back to the tagline, but help people plan, book, and have that perfect vacation.
So the person who's holding a big position in TripAdvisor, you're okay?
Whether he or she likes it or not, I'll be staying for as long as they'll have me.
The microphone is not on, I think, there. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
My name's Nora Gaynor. I'm from the Art Institute of Chicago, which was ranked #2 in the world by
Congrats.
TripAdvisor
Awesome.
last week, so thank you.
All right.
We have been working, I'm sure like a lot of people in this room, on developing our Chinese visitor market, and I was just wondering what TripAdvisor is planning on.
A nice segue to how we think about China, which is a very different, highly competitive space with kind of major players there with eyeballs, more than we have. But where we're particularly strong in China is actually in outbound. So how would that Chinese traveler, no matter where they live in China, know that the Art Institute is such a fabulous spot? So we have our WeChat advertising vehicle, we have our site advertising vehicle, and we have the credibility, I believe, in that audience to say, yeah, I actually do care about that unbiased source of truth, TripAdvisor. Where do they say, oh, good opportunity, versus some of the other folks who historically have been more commercial about that. So happy to hook you up with our ad team and figure out what a good plan would be. But it is kind of our sweet spot there.
Question on this end. Go ahead.
Michael Zaitsev with Data Art. Steve, can you tell us about a couple of acquisitions that you've done that were best from commercial perspective and strategic perspective.
Acquisition.
So I would probably, because my memory is always last in, first out, point to Viator as a really gem of an acquisition for us, because it's a very well-run company, clear leadership in supply and demand position. The technical stack, the pipes that connect to all the different players in the tour and activity space across all sorts of categories, nicely done. We came in and said, hey, we need to help tweak the model here so it's not curated things to do. This is the one best thing in one, but hey, let everyone sell all their wares. And they said, yeah, we're ahead of you, we're already working on that. Good, let's step on the gas so that all attraction suppliers that charge for something can be on that platform. Plug it into TripAdvisor, seeing really nice growth. So, and obviously opens up a huge new category for us, one where we didn't have to build demand as well as supply. We already had so much of the demand. Not to say the teams aren't working their tail off, still integrating and making that experience better, but I'd point to that as a tremendous success. We've been a very acquisitive company, generally not really big companies. And you know, when I look through the history, some have worked well commercially. A lot of them have worked for unexpected reasons. You know, we bought a tiny company that did travel postcards because we thought it would be really cool to help share the love of your trip electronically. And yeah, the postcard thing didn't work out quite as well as we planned, but the team turned into be providing the leadership for our mobile efforts for many, many years. So awesome benefit, unexpected. And when the acquisitions are small, we're happy to take those wins all day long. So longer short answer. Yes.
Hello. First, congratulations on your move to Booking. I'd like to know if you're going all the way down to it, or you will struggle between your today clients that you're hurting with it, or you will go fully into it. And also, a second question derivated from that is part of this movement, beyond monetization and fulfilling the desire of the user, can it be that the TripAdvisor seemed a bit broken on the manipulation and fake of opinions? I live in Girona. It's home to the best restaurant in the world last year. Second restaurant in Girona is a takeaway pizzeria. Okay.
So two different questions there, right? So we have the instant book, how far down the funnel we go. Well, we're not going to buy any hotel companies, so we're not going to actually own the hard assets. We do have...
Come on, you've dreamed of having a TripAdvisor hotel?
Yeah, no,
I mean like Booking.com.
So we book through our OTA partners, we book through the hotel chains themselves, and independents can all come and sign up, and if we have the connectivity in place, we can send the booking direct to the independent hotel. So all the different flavors there. And we have lots of hotels in each of those categories. Everyone's pretty happy to be playing in the we call it the instant book store now, because they're all interested in our demand. And from the way we see it, giving our travelers the choice of how they want to book through is a nice user experience as well. Direct with a click off or through our instant bookstore for the partners. If you give them a great price because we've searched the web, it's all golden. To the second point on the pizzeria that might have been number 2 in the city, we look at all of the reviews that are coming in. And I can tell you with utter certainty, that's a great pizzeria. It's not a fine dining restaurant, and a lot of people like, hey, when I go to this place, do I really want to eat pizza there for my anniversary? Like, no. But that's more of a categorization question. What we've rolled out relatively recently is a restaurant page that doesn't list just kind of 1 through 10, but breaks it into, are you looking for local favorites? Are you looking for fine dining? Are you looking for quick bites? And then we're trying to provide recommendations based upon that.
Can we please add 5 minutes to the clock, please? Thank you. Go ahead.
Dimitri from Alice. You guys are stepping into much more of a closer relationship with the hotels now, and originally it was more of a feedback loop, and it was a conversational feedback loop, right, where the hotel could actually answer. And now with booking, what's the appetite for actually getting into the more interstate communication? So is there an idea that, well, now that the guest is making their booking, maybe they'll use the same interface to either request something or maybe provide interim questions that the hotel can answer that really provides a holistic engagement channel versus kind of just something that starts and ends at booking?
So a great topic. When we look at that traveler journey, we are not at all stopping at the booking. Restaurants and attractions, it's how you're having a great time. How can we help the hotel and the guest communicate when that guest is at the hotel? Absolutely fits into that. We want to continue to have the relationship with the traveler. I wouldn't say it's a kind of a burning hot topic for us, but it absolutely fits into the strategic direction that we and certainly several others are looking at.
So yes, he may at some point buy some of the companies that are here. So that's the answer.
History would say.
Hi there, Brendan Dawson from Thunderbird Partners. We heard earlier today from Oliver Heckman of Google about a number of their innovations and new products in the space, and it seems clearly to be a priority for them. And we've also seen that in the second quarter, TripAdvisor had some difficulty growing on the hotel side with traffic of positive 3% year over year. So I'm just curious, how big of a threat is Google to your business model today? And how can you manage through it? And can you imagine having flat to declining traffic at some point in the future?
So I look at Google and say, wow, what a force in most of the Western world for traffic. Baidu in China, Naver in Korea. Lots of people are trained on search engines. People like Google, they use Google. If you travel around pretty much to anywhere where travelers go, you see kind of visible signs of how TripAdvisor affects travel. You see the stickers in the window, you see the certificates of excellence, you hear people sitting at the restaurant next to you saying, hey, what are we gonna do tomorrow, honey? Let's take a look at TripAdvisor and help us plan the trip. You don't hear, hey, let's go to Google and search for things to do. So the TripAdvisor brand for the traveler globally, in almost all markets, is really strong in terms of helping the traveler. Will Google affect that, or Google Trips, or any particular product? Maybe, but that's what competition is all about. It's not the first time Google or any other company has come into the space. They spent $1 billion on airfare search. Okay, they didn't exactly blow Expedia or anyone else out of the water for airfare search. So Google has tremendous power that they occasionally improperly wield, but I view our opportunity to capture the plan, the book, the have, the trip as all within our control in terms of delivering the service that travelers want to come back on. Google can take a chunk here and try to do something great, as they have and will continue. Our forecasting assumes Google will stay in travel for the foreseeable future, even though they bowed out of other verticals from time to time. And we look at all of our other competitors and assume that they're innovating as well. Keeps us on our toes, certainly. But at the end of the day, our functionality, our brand, the trust that we have with consumers, and I hope I'm not making it up because the survey says people really do trust those TripAdvisor reviews, is our kind of path to longevity.
So last quick question, sorry.
Thank you. I'm Denise Rasmussen, and I'm the Sales and Marketing Director for Alcatraz Cruises. We're the concessionaire for the National Park Service that does the marketing and the ticketing and the transportation for Alcatraz Island, named 2015's #1 U.S. landmark by TripAdvisor, by the way, and #8 in the world. Thank you.
Wonderful.
My question is to your acquisition of Viator and the fact that TripAdvisor is booking hotels now. Do you see yourselves continuing on two separate paths doing that, or do you see that folding more into Viator or Viator folding more into TripAdvisor?
We basically are looking for anything you're researching on the TripAdvisor platform to be bookable if that makes sense for the attraction. So your cruise, a day trip, a multi-day tour, a hotel, a long vacation. If you, the traveler, want to do it, we want to be able to provide that service as convenience. You don't have to book anything through TripAdvisor. The site is always free. So no plans on changing that. But if a traveler is looking for it, we want to be able to provide it.
So we're out of time, but I do want to ask you one thing that you are very passionate about. So talk about the Syrian refugee crisis and what TripAdvisor is doing.
Thanks for that question. As everyone knows, there's just the crisis of our times right now is going on with the refugee crisis. I can't figure out, no one in the room can figure out any way to end the war in Syria and let these folks go home. But some of the dialogue that's going on now, in my view at least, completely ignores the human suffering. The President of the United States called upon the private sector to step up and lend their voice, lend their funds, lend their talent, lend their expertise to actually make a difference here. TripAdvisor responded, so did Google and LinkedIn and Autodesk and J&J, a couple of dozen other companies, I think 50 companies said, yeah, we're here to help. We want to know, we pledge dollars and time and effort, talent, expertise of our companies, and our logo's on your website. Our next job as a group, TripAdvisor pledged $5 million over 3 years from our foundation, just a step along the way. We pledged talent to help in some of the resettlement pieces, but everywhere I go, I'm asking, I'm cajoling other CEOs, other members of whatever companies you work at to share the opportunity to help in this crisis. When our kids, when our grandkids look back and say, hey, that was a terrible war, that was a terrible refugee crisis, where were you, what did you do? I can't say to my grandkids, yeah, I watched, I thought it was terrible. I have to be able to say, I stood up and did something. And in our position in the travel industry, there are things that we can do to help that human suffering. So,
tell us the next step of action from a site. Go visit.
There's a partnership for refugees. We've looked at the International Rescue Committee and Mercy Corps as two of the many charities that are doing a great job. I welcome anyone and everyone to reach out to me directly, because I'll put you in touch with, depending on your company, kind of the right set of folks who can help spread the word, help recruit at all levels in your organization. And if we can go from 50 companies to 500 companies to 5,000 companies, it just can, we have the opportunity to change the dialogue from, hey, I don't know, those are strangers, very xenophobic. As travelers, we know better, and it's our opportunity to help raise the awareness that there is something that we can do here. So.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.